In the last kind of year to date, we've seen quite a struggle across the whole kind of market, led by the kind of oil impact that's really affected the sentiment in the region. So overall, we see our stock price underperforming the wider market. The ADX is very kind of essentially consolidated around the bank sector, which typically, due to their kind of low flotations, actually supports them in a down cycle. So we've seen underperformance across the market on that side. The real estate sector, on average, in Abu Dhabi remains pretty stable and robust, which is quite different to what we're seeing in Dubai, where there has been a softening and stabilization come into the market. So our overall feel, in terms of the kind of wider real estate market at this stage, is that it continues to be stable. We're continuing with our development plan and launches into the market, and this is going to, we believe this will continue into next year as well. I joined the group just over a year ago, coming from Antofagasta in London, so kind of FTSE 100 blue chip institution. And my kind of immediate kind of strategy has been to essentially develop a very strong IR program. We're quite involved in a lot of the international conferences that exist for kind of EM markets and real estate. So we do a kind of very solid roadshow based around the US and UK. And more recently, we've been expanding this into new markets where we see kind of underweight or non-holder positions versus our peers, and this includes Boston and Amsterdam. So that's been the real focus, and I think that's going to continue. A lot of the work, and my presentation today was talking about the kind of engagement with local investors, and this is another key focus of the market. International plays a very important part of an restoration program, but we need to kind of ensure that the local investors are getting sufficient time from our management and from our investor relation engagement. So this is going to be a key focus going forward as well. IR is a very new concept to the region, and whilst it's been developing very strongly, there's some very key differentials that we need to adjust. And I think the main aspects that we see there in terms of it is engagement from the sell side. So typically for a FTSE 100, you'd be seeing kind of 30, 40 analysts that are essentially very actively covering the stock. Here, the actual market is considerably smaller, so you're seeing engagement with around 15. IR activities as well are going to be tighter. So typically you'd have a much more active roadshow program and conference schedule. Here we're typically going on the road kind of 6 times a year versus, in my previous role we were doing kind of 12 trips.